What's going on, guys? Welcome back to My Cup of Tea, episode number 23. Look at that. We didn't have a false start this time. How unfortunate. But still, plenty of fun stuff to be discussing today. Joining us, as always, we have Carson.
What's going on, guys? It's Sunday Fun Day. I call it out every time. Reunited with my Star Wars wall, even though wrong show, wrong time. But we're talking about, I got this kaiju lighting going. Nathan's got me all excited for things that I don't know anything about, but have like 100 years of lore, and I'm here for it. I am here for all these connections and why is Godzilla doing this? Why is Kong doing that? I'm excited. Also, we got some more Marvel scoops that we're going to talk about. Spider-Man 3 becoming the new Mandalorian Season 2 in terms of leaks and everything talking about. And also Chris Evans in the news, or maybe he's not in the news. Excited to talk about that. And then, every movie jumping ship to leapfrogging to the end of 2021. So we'll talk about that and what it means.
And also joining us, we have Evan.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty great. It's been a good Sunday so far. Attack on Titan was great today. Everybody should be watching the final season because it is amazing. Shed some tears. Anyways, I'm super excited. I woke up at, I had my alarm set for 11:59 because I knew the trailer was going to come out at 12. So I waited a minute. King Kong trailer popped up. It was pretty awesome. Talk about King Kong, WandaVision, and all these release date changes. Can't wait.
All right. What do you guys want to discuss first, Godzilla or WandaVision?
Yeah, let's dive into Godzilla versus King Kong.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So much. Kinda. I mean, there's like so many background things, which actually people have pointed out. So that's fun. Carson.
Yeah, Nathan, I wanted to ask you, because your reaction's pretty funny in the sense that you're like, wait, no, why Godzilla? Why are you doing this the whole time? So I want you to set the stage.
I have prided my enjoyment on this new era of Godzilla that right from the get-go, they made him the earthly protector type Godzilla. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. My favorite. But now I'm just like, no, why? Why are you a villain?
Yeah, and we'll talk about it because it kind of frames him like it. And then there's also
that's probably the shock.
Which was kind of like the original film we'll be diving into based on some theories. But yeah, some fun destruct right from the get-go. Blink and you miss it right there.
Top.
Yeah.
So
that's the new Jaeger from
screen.
the Pacific Rim. Okay.
Let me run that back quick.
There we go.
I did that 0.5 speed.
There he is.
So fast, blink and you miss. Oh, that's some red. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is Mecha Godzilla. It appears. Right at the trailer. You never
Nathan.
noticed.
Nathan, pepper me this. Yeah. So we see the guy. Okay, I had to refresh myself on King of the Monsters because I've only seen it once. I had to go back
I legit went back to watch a lot of it right before the trailer dropped.
The guy, the guy who went down and watched or got exploded by the nuke and died. Spent his life trying to protect Godzilla, and he's a pretty good guy.
Ken Watanabe.
Yeah, his character, and now his son is in this movie and is gonna build Mecha Godzilla. Is that what's happening?
The assumption.
From what I've gathered, yes, Dr. Serizawa, our beloved Ken Watanabe, is always the highlight. It seems like, in a very tragic sense, that from background images stuff, which I think will pop up later on, that his son, which I didn't even realize his son was in this.
Yeah, I know.
How do they know his son's how do they know that's his son?
It might be a casting report. I'm not sure.
Like people are reporting that. I'm like, okay, I guess that's common knowledge. I did not know that. I saw an Asian dude. I'm like, are they the same? Are they related? I mean, I don't know. But okay.
I think it's right.
It
Let me
might
find
be
it, 'cause
earlier.
I think it's right.
We could get to it in our normal.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but there's a diagram in the background on the left side that looks like
something. Let's go back to where we were.
Okay.
or restart.
And now we're in Kong Skull Island cinematography.
Indeed.
It's
And then just look how big his hand has gotten. Like, it's
So
crazy
big.
how much he's grown.
huge.
I'm fascinated that they're like changing the archetype of the classic Kong story, taken from the island and stuff.
These logos
Yeah, and,
totally give me mecha vibes with like the robotics.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Apparently, Skull Island is not his home either. That was surprising.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I'm
what I
intrigued
wanted to
see where
ask.
this story is going.
Because we later in this trailer we see that there was an ancient war, and that's kind of like the hint at why they might be still feuding, or if like the balance or something is off between these the two legends. But what I'm curious about is like, where did this war like between them take place? So maybe like that's why it wasn't his home, because he was like, or his species, or I don't even know. It's out of my element, but I see a shot of Godzilla taking this bird out of the sky and like swinging it into another prehistoric bird. I'm like, what is happening? And I'm here for it.
That was crazy.
I actually would be fascinated because they were kind of like saying in Skull Island how Kong's kind of like the last of his kind on Skull Island because all the skull crawlers took him out. So maybe they could be delivering him to a new place that has other types of Kongs potentially. I don't know.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, and what's the other thing is we're about to be introduced to this girl who's the only one that can communicate apparently with Kong.
Yeah,
so how does
even
that
know the
tie into
actress's name?
I don't think
No.
so. She's very young.
This girl right
Could be
here.
Very young.
Could be like an introducing.
This looks like the island. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it totally does.
Yeah, it looks like Skull Island for sure. I think she's probably just like one of the local natives.
Yeah.
With no more bad monsters in there? Yeah. Pretty cool scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just like, so now we have Millie Bobbie. I saw a meme. It was like Millie Bobby Brown on Godzilla's side and this little girl on Kong's side. It's too funny.
Let them fight.
Oh, man, these chains. It's killing me.
My boy. For nothing else, though, he seems pretty cooperative.
Right.
Yeah,
I wonder how the capture is going to go.
Here.
Will they show the capture, do you think?
I'm looking. Probably. I'm randomly looking at actors in the. I was looking at actors in the background just then. I was like, "Is that Elektra from Daredevil?"
It might be.
Oh my god.
This is badass because she's like sensing like that Godzilla's coming. I'm like, oh my.
Right? It's like tremors in the water. Like,
oh my.
Yeah, he's just coming up out of nowhere, unprovoked. No, that's what gets it. I'm just like unprovoked out of nowhere. I'm like, what? Where's the fire? What's happening?
And this kind of gives us a hint. This kind of gives us a hint at how powerful like his fins are, and Godzilla's going to use like his fins for an axe because it just cut through steel basically,
easily,
or whatever that was.
Which he never intentionally did this to the humans in the last two movies. So like, yeah, something's
up. Something's up.
Yeah, like so he's potentially just targeting King Kong right here, right? Like.
Yeah, and like nothing will stand in his way to get to Kong. Maybe I don't know.
There are theories around.
But yeah, I'm pretty
waiting in the water. Love that.
I'm pretty impressed by these effects so far. Like, I think one of the highlights of King of Monsters was definitely the visuals, but also this has a very distinct look. The King of Monsters was very just like baked in like a lot of colors, saturated colors. It very like. I don't know what the word would be, but this is a little more like not like realism, but looks more like natural to the scenery versus like I can't explain it, but it looks different and I like it.
I see what you mean. Yeah, you can tell the cinematography is different, but it still looks visually incredible. Boom!
The punch.
Great shot.
Now that was interesting because like early on, like too, like as Godzilla's attacking, like you see like Kong's reaction face, and it looks like he doesn't really want this fight because he also has like people. He has at least like this girl that he's has a defense for. So like that's why he has stakes in like protecting this carrier right now. But it's like, why is any of this happening?
Is this fight? Yeah, like it seems like Godzilla is provoked, or Godzilla is targeting like King Kong here because they seem to be in the middle of the sea and nothing's happening, and then Godzilla comes and attacks them.
Yeah.
And then does this battle like transition into the city? Because some shots later we see like them in the city with the same kind of like sunlight background ish. Like I wonder who wins this first battle. Is it going to be King Kong? Is it going to be Godzilla? I'm not sure.
Right. It's also like interesting just to think because like the prevailing theory right now, just to get out the way, is that similar to the first Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla film, is that this is not Godzilla, but rather Mechagodzilla with a Godzilla skin, as it were, over the archetype.
Oh, wow.
What?
Which
That's a
actually kind
theory?
of like, yeah, which I could kind of get behind just because like Godzilla taking this punch to the face, I've not properly seen him take a punch to a face like that. Just I feel like he would have had better combat because he was just standing there. Like I feel like he would have had better combat.
That's interesting.
I never even heard that theory. I thought like Mechagodzilla would be something that comes in the third act.
Which it sounds like very ridiculous as these movies are, but I can get behind that just based on like the I forget the dude from Game of Thrones in the last movie, but
Tywin Lannister. What's his actor's name?
Yeah.
Frick,
I
have
don't
no idea.
I don't know if he has a functioning hand in any Mechagodzilla creation.
Is he going to be in this movie?
I don't know, but it's possible if they take like the type of like DNA that Ghidorah had with like the regenerative.
I forgot about that post credits. Yeah.
Yeah, because if they like were to implement that and like maybe like splice with Godzilla's DNA, then they can get like this rough skin exterior over the Mechagodzilla in that sense,
That'd
which would
be crazy.
So
then the battle damage.
I never would have thought they would be able to pull off something like that, like because it's kind of hokey for sure, as like some of the old movies were.
I wouldn't like that. I want to see Godzilla fight King Kong. I don't want to see it be a fake out.
I think it will be. I think it will be actually Godzilla, and then the plot's gonna have to be some. I don't know what the reason's gonna be yet, but Millie Bobby Brown's gonna have to figure out Godzilla's part, and then we see it later in the trailer with
exactly
what's his name. Brian Taylor Henry, or I can't remember what
Brian Tyree Henry.
Tyree Henry, yes.
Right?
I totally forgot he was in it, by the way. He's a great actor. I'm glad he's in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fascinating.
Hopefully like this first fight is them versus like each other. Maybe King Kong wins here, and then Godzilla wins the Tokyo one, and then they fight
Mechagodzilla, yeah,
Godzilla
that's what I was
together
thinking too.
And wherever that is,
and they keep marketing. There's going to be a definitive winner, so I'm intrigued to see.
That was so cool. Oh god! Wait, you think there is a definitive winner?
Well,
I think there is a definitive winner. They say.
Wait, what?
So here we go.
Right there.
Oh yeah.
He looks pretty evil.
So yeah.
And we also see full or something systems charge is low or something.
Just like looking at the bottom of that sign, it looks like Godzilla's feet and tail in like a mechanical structure for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Godzilla
semi-confirmed here.
Well, I think this guy. I'm just wondering what this guy's motivation is going to be. So, if Godzilla, like, what's going to start this film? Is Godzilla going to go on some like rampage out of the blue? That's gonna like prompt them to be like, okay, we need to like figure this out. We gotta like, what can we do? Because I'm curious, like, how this gonna all start.
I think. Wait, so Nathan, explain to me how did Serizawa, presumably this guy's dad, how he died in the last film? Why did he have to sacrifice himself? What was he doing
in the last film? Okay, in the last film, when
King of the Monsters,
Yes, King of the Monsters. When Rodan broke out of the volcano, they were going there to see what was up because Ghidorah was also like breaking out, like being like making alpha moves and stuff. And Godzilla was coming to fight, and the military is like, all right, well, I think our best shot to like stop any of this would be to drop the oxygen destroyer, which in the Godzilla lore is effectively what kills kaiju, especially basically like it like launches into the ocean and like it like. Anything in that area, it like gets rid of like all the functioning oxygen around that ends up destroying every creature around. When they did that, Ghidorah still made it out because he's like an alien that regenerates, but Godzilla was actually hit pretty bad. Didn't completely die, but was taken out. And so after Mothra came in to show the humans where Godzilla was resting, they realized they needed to like detonate a nuclear warhead deep within these catacomb tombs that Godzilla rests. And Serizawa offered his life up to resurrect Godzilla for the good of humanity.
Yeah, because they couldn't detonate it remotely or something.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So because of that, I think this kid here who just lost his father's, like, in order to semi-avenge my father's death in a way, I'm going to create a Mechagodzilla based on that. I mean, I'm trying to find some kind of emotional justification for creating this. Not. Yeah.
It could be a thing where, like, his father devoted all his life to Godzilla that ultimately took his life, and maybe he has resentment against Godzilla in that sense.
But then, that's true. But then at the same point, somebody could say, "But dude, Godzilla has just saved the world. So why do you need a Mechagodzilla if Godzilla is a savior of humanity here?"
Yeah, he's gonna be like, "Well, this is gonna happen again." Like,
that could also be kind of circumstantial to like what you believe, like around. I mean, like reading like the end credit news reports, like people were believing Godzilla was cool, but I guess that's really up to interpretation of just like giant battles that don't have camera coverage,
right? And they can always pull like the like a Civil War angle of like, what is the wreckage that these monsters are paying every time that they come out. Yeah, they'd be saving us, but look at all the cities they're destroying, and what if we just put an end to all the kaiju? I'm gonna build this robot and kill all of them, something like that. I don't know if
that's
go like
a similar
that.
thing they've done with like just the idea of like that's like old like Mechagodzilla stuff. Like sometimes it's like an instance where like the humans build it just to combat Godzilla's like reign on the town, So
exactly, yeah. He's like, why should we let Godzilla be in charge of our humanity? Maybe we should put humanity in our hands because we're humans,
right?
So like maybe we should.
And then it's ironic because it's tech that has to like be the thing that's their outlet for it. It's kind of funny.
Exactly. So
hopefully,
yeah. You
go. My favorite storyline of iterations of Mechagodzilla, which they would never go this far, but what they did in like the like Millennium era of Godzilla films with Mechagodzilla is what they did is they took the old original Godzilla's bones and built the infrastructure over it, and when like presumably like the descendant of Godzilla came in interaction with it, the roar of that Godzilla triggered the spirit in the bones of the original Godzilla and awoken its spirit in the mechanical body, and the mechanical body like turned for a bit like evil to reign on the town.
That's crazy.
And it's like, oh no, not only is like OG Godzilla back, but he's like amplified with missiles and shit. Like,
wow. Hopefully they do make human characters interesting in this one. Of course, people are always like, "Oh, like we should only care about the monsters." But I'm like, if they have to focus and create scenes for the human characters, then they better be at least somewhat interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also smart in that instance to like, if you like are gonna do that, like, yeah, by all means, like return characters so you can flesh them out more. Don't just like get a whole new.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
which I am excited about.
They kept doing new cast every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, because the biggest problem is everybody, always felt expendable, and we didn't care about anybody. It was always just the wake of, whatever was beam was flying in the sky. It's like the, that kind of deal where it's just like so much is happening. You're like, okay, how am I supposed to care about this? And it's like, I still am not over the whole Bryan Cranston. His character was so good in like 20 minutes of the movie. Like, it's crazy to me that they killed him off.
Like, that first act is incredible, and then they just
so good. Damn. Okay,
let's continue.
Well, let's continue. So then we're just vibing.
Now we're in Tokyo.
Yeah,
presumably.
Pacific Rim 2013, director Guillermo del Toro.
Which you know what? Look at my lighting now. We got the neon lighting going. I'm here for it. Godzilla's like lighting up.
Did Guillermo invent like neon lights at night?
No.
Right.
Someone should make that meme. It's just like him wearing
Okay.
This is a beautiful setting. I do love that.
Kyle Chandler.
Yeah, returning character.
Doing nothing once again.
Look at his tie. He's frustrated.
He's so serious, guys.
He's Team Kaiju now. He went through character development.
Go ahead, because his wife was crazy as hell, right?
Yeah, the wife was insane in the last movie.
For no reason.
She made that whole PowerPoint presentation about how, like, I don't even know, but it was the most elaborate PowerPoint presentation for, like, the worst cause I've ever heard of. And her daughter's just sitting there watching it.
Our humanity needs to be better. I was like, what are you talking about?
What the?
Oh, that's too funny.
Nature overtake the land. Yeah.
And she didn't die, right? She's still alive, or did she die? I forget.
I think she survived. I mean, I don't know if she's back.
I thought she died, but then I think she survived too. Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe she's in custody. I don't know.
Yeah, she should be. Like, you're eradicating most of humanity. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
This doesn't look like Tokyo. I think this could potentially be the beginning of the movie of Godzilla like wrecking stuff. Because this doesn't look like Tokyo. This looks like an industrial like plant or something.
Okay.
Or a military base, maybe.
It could be.
Could be a base. Let's read all the headlines. Godzilla attack claims.
That's a lot of sticky notes. Jeez.
Monarch stumped.
Monarch stumped. Yeah.
What's next?
Oh, see, look at this. We got a Godzilla attacked the coast of Brazil. It looks like. So that maybe.
Okay, so that could be the whole Godzilla attack claims lives. Could be what we just saw there.
Because also they have the lizard on here. They have the lizard on here as like Godzilla maybe moving in here, maybe like going to one of these sites.
But,
I don't know. It's interesting.
As we learned, he's probably destroying these sites because they're constructing Mechagodzilla, and he's like trying to destroy.
What is like? I'm seeing multiple sticky notes refer to an apex, and I have no idea what.
Yeah, and then on the very right, there's like Godzilla plus Apex ? Which I'm like, what is Apex?
Okay, yeah, there's a few like all throughout like Africa. There's like Apex Facility 2, 6. Like what?
Oh, and look at the very top.
Could be the Mechagodzilla project, right? It could be called Apex.
Yeah.
It could be Monarch Zones. I don't know.
Because look, Apex Facility attacked is at the top of
so Godzilla is destroying these Apex facilities because they're making
probably
they're using his like whatever his DNA or whatever they got to
Godzilla attack number 3. Okay, I'm trying to read this bottomless sticky note like Apex Facility Government Building something.
What does that say?
Where?
Oh, it says water facilities on the water
to the left bottom sticky note.
Oh.
And it says something plus mall. I don't know.
Huh. And something in Antarctica, which is where Ghidorah woke up.
Why did we not even read the bottom right? The UN vetoes Godzilla.
Oh no.
So there is going to be something about Godzilla's,
What UN vetoes? I don't know why I don't know why my brain thought that was Spanish.
It thought it was Spanish. I'm like, un vetoes? Godzilla.
What does that mean?
Marcion?
So it looks like Godzilla destroying all these facilities, injuring humans, probably innocent lives as well.
And then
it's like, okay, it's being framed.
It's being framed.
Exactly. You went like
Knives Out 2. Knives Out 2 starring Godzilla.
It's alien mind control, because that's actually a common plot in a lot of Godzilla films.
Can you imagine? I'm gonna set the stage. Detective Benoit Blanc comes on the case and has to interrogate Godzilla, and it's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Or talks to Kong. Kong's just like in chains, and he's just like walking around asking questions. Daniel Craig oh my god, he could be hilarious. These movies. I'm thinking about his character in the Steven Soderbergh movie. I can't remember what it's called. With Adam Driver and Channing Tatum. Logan Lucky, he's absolutely absurd in that movie. I think he could play just like an absurd human character in one of these kaiju movies. It'd be funny. Anyways.
Can we read any more? Does it zoom out?
No. Can't zoom anymore, sadly.
I mean like hitting play, it zooms out. Okay, no, there's nothing really.
So Millie Bobbie Brown's on this quest.
Wait, if you pause right here, if you like pause behind the kids there, that neon sign, because I was looking at
legendary.
Is that the is that the legendary logo?
Yeah, I think it is.
That totally is. Oh, that's the guy from Deadpool?
That's what I was gonna ask. Like from Deadpool and Hunt for the Wilder People, I think. I think
Yeah,
so.
what's his name? What's his name? God, can't remember.
He's from New Zealand, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Or
All right, so
Australia.
now I'm just gonna imagine this is like the legendary office lobby.
Right. It's their Tokyo facility.
Okay, so this is all like flashback stuff, maybe.
This is definitely some Skull Island stuff. I don't know. Well, I actually could be like the home that they're taking Kong to. Because also, what was that aircraft behind him in the sky
yeah,
I just saw?
yeah, I saw that too, and it looks futuristic. I'm like, what the heck is that?
All those
Okay,
vehicles, there's numerous.
I
Wait,
was
kind of them,
joking.
yeah.
I was
Wait,
joking about,
is the mountains upside down?
okay, I was joking about alien
going
stuff
on?
because Godzilla hokiness has done that.
The
but
mountain's
if they,
upside down.
if they
Look at
put
that.
if they put aliens
Dude.
in this movie.
Dude, the mountain is upside
Where
down.
are
Am
we?
I tripping right now?
It
No,
kind of
you're
looks
right.
like it,
You're
yeah.
right.
Unless, well, it could be a cave. Is it a cave?
Unless he's hanging upside down, which could, I guess, be a possibility.
I think it's a
Which could be
cave.
possible.
But yeah, what is that aircraft? I don't think that's military build. That looks like a spaceship. What the hell?
It does. But these places have like futuristic tech, so I'm not super
Yeah, I'm not.
shocked.
It could be.
Well, their
the-
last like big ship still seem fairly believable. That has like turbine engines from warp speed capability.
We're going to hyperspace. Oh,
There's like
they were
tentacles,
in there.
like, more.
They were in there again. There was a whole. Watch this. If I pause right at the axe.
Yes, I said that.
Look, there's a whole fleet.
Like,
Oh yeah, what is going on? And they like flashback, like, oh, it's still alien.
Now this is so cool. Like what?
Yeah,
Guys,
I don't
it
know these
reminds me-
creatures, but
yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
great
2005 King Kong movie.
Look at
Look at
this
that.
shot.
barks on fire.
Great.
Like, oh my god, this
Dude,
god,
Kong is scary.
Do you think that's the
And then
first
that poor
battle?
city,
Of,
that
like,
poor city's just getting destroyed.
Dude,
I'm
I
also
think
trying-
there's total aliens.
I'm
What is
trying
all
to
this-
figure out what the hell are these creatures?
Because look what he's standing on. It looks like
That
some
looks
kind of like.
It looks like Godzilla. Like some sort of like imbued tribal painting that's like lit up. I don't know, like
It's lit up,
if
What
it's
if it's like a combo attack? I don't know.
I'm once again throwing
This is
out
back.
alien
This is back in Tokyo. One will fall. I still don't know who that
Was
guy
that-
is.
Was that Millie? She looks so much older.
I know, right? It's kind of weird.
She looked like she was like 50.
It's lighter.
Um,
Oh my god, this is in slow motion.
Look
Look at.
harnessing it. Oh, look at him.
Oh, dude.
See, Carson, this is like the same city where like he was destroying those buildings in the beginning of the
Yeah,
film.
that's what I'm.
So I thought, wouldn't this be Tokyo or would it be? Oh,
Right, and that's where I'm like, we haven't even seen anything from like a lot of the movie, like a lot of the later halves of the movie. Later half of
yeah.
the
So it
movie.
looks like there's a round one in like where like King Kong's in chains or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
On
On the
maybe.
aircraft carrier.
And then like on the aircraft carrier, but then it looks like the aircraft carrier fight goes into that city fight where we see them looking at each other.
I can
Because
totally
it looks
see
like
that.
the same like sunset background.
I do wonder if they're going to like.
'Cause if it's just
flash-
in the water, then Kong loses.
I do
Yeah, I
wonder
bet
if when,
maybe Kong swims to land when he gets close. When they get close, and then they're like, "All right,
yeah, I do.
level playing field."
I do wonder if one of these fights is going to be like flashback to like old era because they showcased like cave paintings of Godzilla and Kong fighting before, and they were talking about like old
Yeah.
kaiju wars and stuff.
Very
That'd be
interesting.
awesome. But yeah, it looks very interesting. So by this, it looks like they fight twice, and then they fight Mechagodzilla towards the end somewhere. We haven't even seen that at all.
Place your bets. Who wins?
Jeez.
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Honestly, it's going to be like, it's kind of like
I think
how,
so too. I think they're gonna win one fight wins, or one
I-
person wins the other fight, and then
I would have thought that, but I mean the filmmakers and this trailer keeps marking that there's going to be one definitive winner.
unless
Where
one of
do
them
we say
sacrifices
one definitive
himself.
winner?
It was like,
Yeah, I
well,
hope
I mean the trailer just saying one will fall, but like
You know
the
what?
director
I don't
himself is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want.
I
like them
don't
both.
I don't see an instance where one literally slays the other. Like I just don't see it.
Sure, I don't think like
Well,
slay.
yeah, I don't.
Combat.
Yeah, defeat.
I'm sure
But,
Kong will win the dark saber axe, and there'll be confusion of lineage. And
Oh gosh. But I'm like, I hope like if King Kong wins here, I'm like, that's cool and all, but you made Godzilla the villain to have that happen. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't really be invested in who wins or loses if they try and make Godzilla the evil person. Granted, Godzilla is like doing this because something bad's happening to him, uh, and he's like getting framed or whatever, or he's justifiably like killing people because like they're trying to create Mechagodzilla or they're trying to do something with his DNA.
Yeah.
All that being said, like I'm happy. Like, I hope Godzilla wins, but they're probably gonna make Kong win because he seems to be like the hero character of this movie. But I just hope by the end of this movie, Godzilla is back to being the Godzilla we know and love. I miss that Godzilla.
I think so. I mean,
you don't put Millie Bobby Brown in here for her to be wrong about Godzilla. So exactly.
yeah, I don't think so either. But we'll see. I get so excited for these trailers, and then I watch the movie. I really hope this hits all the notes for me because I know, as you know, I'm not nearly as big of a fan as Nathan is, and I don't have all the lore built up in my head. But I just want overall good movie. I know it's gonna be cheesy. I know I'm gonna be watching crazy light shows of, fire and dragon breath and an axe made out of a dorsal fin. I know what I'm signing up for. But I just want something that's satisfying too, So sure. I think we could get it with this movie, and it might be the last MonsterVerse movie for a while, and then they'll probably reboot into something else. So I hope it goes out in a bang because it looks cool. So
yeah.
Before we end, do you guys have a ranking of the previous 3 movies? Or 4, I guess. Or it would be 3, right? Godzilla 1, 2, and then Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, I have like.
What's yours? You go first.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, do I like any of these movies? But then I'm like, okay. I like certain. I wouldn't go that far, but like, I walked out of each of these movies being like, oh, that was pretty underwhelming. But I think my favorite one would probably have to be Godzilla 2014, then Kong Skull Island, then Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think that's it for me.
I think that's my exact ranking, Evan. And it's funny because like each of these movies, like there's something that really gets me excited, and then there's something I don't like as much. Like for example, in Kong, I absolutely love the Larry Fong cinematography in that movie is so cool, and everything they did with the visuals in that movie is insane. But the characters are just like so unbelievably dumb, like just to the point where I'm like, I can't even focus because it's just like
it's bad.
It's like it's too much, and I think Godzilla, the first one, is my top movie out of the 3 because I think it still has some of those same problems, but I think I do like the characters more in that movie, and I do like I like how it's like debated that like, oh, they don't show Godzilla for a while, but I mean I think that's cool how they don't show him for a while because then the reveal is that, like that shot of like when they're like jumping out of the
oh my God,
the airplane, and you just see like the fin, and you're like,
that was
oh
the
my
first
God,
trailer. Like
insane. So I love that part of it.
Yeah, I actually like each movie more as the series goes on. So that's like my order of which would place 2014 at the bottom of my ranking, even though I like it a lot. It's just, and like I realize that's like way more film-esque as the first one. The rest are just like, all right, we're just here for popcorn action. But I also can't deny just like it's all stupid. I know it's stupid. I'm here for stupid. I'm here for fun. I was literally like, I realize there's not great like cinema in King of the Monsters, but I was like watching like a bunch of the fight stuff like right before the trailer was dropping. I was like, so many times I was just like, oh my God, look at this, so cool,
dude. It is all crazy. This different stuff. And I cannot make fun of a single thing when I over here, like, I'll go to the next Fast and Furious movie and be like, Han is back, let's go, his characters are amazing. Like, so I can't say anything.
Yep.
Literally at the end of King of the Monsters, I'm like, the hierarchy of the around.
It's just that whole Vera Farmiga plot. Is that her name? The girl from Kong, King of the Monsters, where she's like giving a whole spiel about why she has to do what she has to do. My brother and I looked at each other in the theater like, "Is this happening? Like, what in the world? Like, this woman is crazy.
When I'm
insane.
When I'm watching King of the Monsters, I'm not really focusing on like, okay, this like world rebirth thing. I don't care. I'm really just about the Ghidorah actual plot where it's like, oh, this alpha just wants to.
I know, but the problem is the humans are the ones that guide you to that, and you're like,
that is true. Yeah.
Anyways,
I will say there is a common like issue that they like do like fix up, and I don't think Skull Island. I don't think it suffered from this, but like with the Godzilla films, like they had like the issue of like the first one where like they kept like cutting away from the action like as it was going down before the final act. And like King of the Monsters like fixed that a bit, but then there was still instances where like there were either like still sort of cutting away, or they'll be like filming from the human perspective on the ground while following the humans, and I'm like, no, look up, pull the camera up.
Right.
I want to see the punches. But I think it's like great action. I think they had like a great final act of the King of the Monsters for a set piece. So I'm thinking from what I'm seeing in the trailers, there's going to be like a lot of great stuff. Godzilla vs Kong, and I'm super hyped to see the two clash for the first time since the '60s when they first both appeared in color. Fun fact. So yeah,
it's been 80 years.
It's actually crazy to think in like 3 years now we're gonna hit the 70th anniversary of Godzilla.
Jeez, that's crazy.
I literally remember growing up and I was like, oh, we hit the 50th anniversary, cool. Age.
I'm still wondering. I want.
So yeah, that would about do
my last question for this, because it's kind of is tied into our box office stuff. Do you think this movie, because Wonder Woman is officially, off of HBO Max as of tomorrow, I believe, which is kind of insane. It's already been that long.
Okay.
It made less than Tenet did at the domestically. I mean, obviously, didn't have the option to stream back then. Do you think that this movie does more than Wonder Woman domestically? Is that even possible because of how things are, or do you think that it's kind of shows the diminishing returns that these last two movies have kind of been going for?
It's interesting because, like, even though I'm working at a theater, I forget there are other locations that are still shut down. Because isn't like every Regal still shut down?
Yeah, every Regal is still closed.
Oh wow, insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's only like 30% of the market is open in the U.S., I think.
Wow,
if that.
I think.
I think it might depend.
Yeah.
Thinking about just like even though like I really enjoyed Wonder Woman 1984 and I'll keep defending it, there was a lot of divisiveness on like the reception of that, whereas I think people aren't going in for like full-fledged story stuff for Godzilla vs Kong. They just want to see the fights and like cool action and stuff. And I think the set pieces will like sell them enough to like if they choose to see it again or not, but I think it would be like a good turnout for sure. Granted, HBO Max also pulling as well, but I think there's just like some instance of like seeing this spectacle on the big screen. It has such a like a stronger pull and desire, especially just seeing this trailer.
Yeah,
I agree.
Will it do better? I don't know, but yeah,
we shall see.
But yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. I will, crazily enough, be watching it at home first, just because I do the YouTube stuff. But I will 1,000,000% be seeing it probably at least twice on the big screen for sure.
I was gonna say,
wow.
You're like, oh, Nathan's just settling for HBO Max. I was like, wait a minute.
No.
Yeah,
but also,
I yeah, I wonder who that is. Yeah, I wonder where that came from. I hope to see I hope to see all the Warner Brothers like hybrid movies in theaters. So I'm definitely going to see this in theaters for sure. Maybe not twice, but I'm definitely going.
Nice. But yeah, There's not too much more to go off of for Godzilla vs Kong. But like we're super hyped. I can't wait. But moving into a different realm for discussion, let's discuss the latest episode of WandaVision, now in color. Official, they like randomly like later on we'll drop the actual episode title.
Is
Carson,
now in color not the episode title?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it was kind of a play on words. When I watched it, I was like, wait, is this the episode title? And then I went back out to the menu quick to look at it, and I'm like, okay, it's actually the title.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, this episode is insane because it starts to like accelerate everything more rapidly, literally with the children happening in this episode, but also like with what reminded me of her name, Monica Rambeau, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
And also some of the other people in the town, which was very interesting towards the end of the episode. We'll get to that. But I loved in the beginning we see like this montage of like so this would be like the 70s now, right? Or I can't remember what the era. The first one was the 50s or
50s, 60s, or in 70s.
Yeah, so this is 70s,
Yeah,
and
70s.
We have that whole montage of them like living life, like going out shopping for the baby. Vision like reading the pregnancy book, so I thought it was absolutely hilarious. He's like trying to like study to like make sure that he can like have like a correct childbirth. It's absolutely hilarious. The humor again. The humor again in this episode was absolutely great. It just made me appreciate Paul Bettany all over again. He stole the show in episode 2, and I think here there's some lines I gotta think to some of them where his interactions with the doctor were just really funny for me. Some of their like the breathing exercises gag where he's like, okay, Wanda, we're gonna like work on our breathing and just like trying to get her to breathe, and Elizabeth Olsen is just like totally just going for it, and I loved their performance in here because we also in this episode Elizabeth is more in and out of the sitcom kind of vibe. She snaps out of it more and is kind of like, no, say that name again, like what did you say, like when they start talking about the brother, and I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, it almost, this show almost makes you forget the events of the MCU of like that you feel like in Wanda's bubble, and then all of a sudden like a reference will be made. Thank you, Trey. I'm glad to have 2 people in my camp. Anyways, I'm losing my train of thought. But yeah, it was just like, and we got the classic Wanda like head turn when she's like, she literally turns to Monica Rambeau, is like, what did you say? Like, it's insane that like all of a sudden that you start to see like Wanda Maximoff just like in the flesh, and you're like, I feel like, you know, she's gonna light up red like she was in front of Thanos, and that's what it gave me even more eerie vibes than some of like the horror stuff that we talked about in the first 2 episodes. So what did you guys think of those little instances?
Oh, I love it, especially in terms of horror. I mean, not to skip to the very, very end, but you know, Wanda's tone of voice gets very sinister. Which was,
yeah, it got like sinister, but also just like I think it was so sinister because it was so different from what we've seen the last like 2.5 episodes. Like she was embracing the whole 70s thing going on with the dialogue, and we were like all on board for that. And like that's what I was thinking for most of this episode. I was like, okay, cool, this is our 70s. She's like really into it and really into the pregnancy of it all. Vision is really funny, but like when something actually going to like happen, and then something big really happened like in those last 10 minutes, and seeing her talk like in her Sokovian accent, and then seeing her like talk back to Monica, I'm like, oh, okay, there's the Scarlet Witch that we know and love. But except now that she's not really evil, but I think this is the first time the not only the audience, but like the S.W.O.R.D agents as well are starting to realize like Wanda's actually doing everything here. Because I think in the last episode via the radio, the guy's like, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? which got people thinking like maybe Mephisto is involved here, which I don't think is the case. But I think this is all Wanda, and her whole interaction there with Monica was very awesome, very cool to see. I loved it.
Absolutely. I love when she just starts breaking into the Sokovian lullaby. I thought that was a very nice moment. And it does get eerie when Monica brings up just like out of the blue about like Ultron and like all that events. It's just like, oh my god, we're really just breaking everything right now. And again, like every episode, I feel so bad because I know Wanda's gonna lose everything and I don't want her to. So
yeah, I keep having this conversation with people. I'm like, Wanda can't come out of this show losing everything. Like, I still think her twins are going to make it out into the modern day MCU, and I think Vision is going to be revived somehow by the end of this show
you think
as well.
These kids were actually
all
born
three of those
in the
characters.
span of, you think these kids were actually born in the span of like 12 seconds?
No, you're right. It's so weird, right? Because like imagine I'm about to say like imagine her kids not actually being real when that actually happened in the comics House of M.
That's what I think we're getting to. That's the point. And I think her madness could
like, but I think
yeah,
you go.
I think that's why I think her madness could be what unlocks like the just outrageousness of the multiverse being uncontrollable because she's just like opening so many like
that's a good point
here and there.
We even
like,
see that in the childbirth of like things in the house, like she starts to just spin out of control, and it's just like the vacuum cleaner and the painting on the wall. But what is something when she truly realizes her loss and her devastation, that it rips a hole in reality or something, something crazy to that extent, with potentially what we're leading to. What I want to talk about with you guys is the scene where Vision starts to catch on, and it's almost like this thing that her projection of Vision essentially knows that he would be catching on to the situation and starts to like build this like consciousness against it, and then she's like, oh, a little bit too far, let me just reset this moment because Vision outsmarted me again. Like,
and isn't that crazy that like everything with Vision you have to like remember is all like from Wanda's own mind because he's not really there. So it's like her own mind working against itself in that instance, which is crazy.
Yeah, and it's tragic because she's just like, he's like, Wanda, like, what's wrong? Like, and you're like, oh my god, this is all from her perspective, like telling her that something's wrong and that she probably is coping in a very weird way.
So let me ask you guys this, since we're on the topic of like Wanda and Vision's whole reaction.
Sure.
Like there's that whole interview that Paul Bettany had with Elizabeth Olsen where he said like there's a concept art or a scene they were going to shoot in Endgame of Wanda going to like the morgue or whatever and taking Vision's body. Like they show the image of the gray Vision body. Have you guys seen that image?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was like in the sense of like puppeteering his corpse, which
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, he's an android, but like we know him as a human being, so it is quite unsettling to think that.
So I'm like, so for the S.W.O.R.D agents, for all the normal people outside of this, are they seeing Wanda talk to a corpse? Is that what they're seeing, or is Vision just not there?
I don't think so. I think from the first episode they established they're seeing the same like sitcom projection on their monitors.
I think Vision has to be there in the sense that everybody else in the other town has to acknowledge in the space of it. You know what I mean?
I'm intrigued because there was like one like first ever. I don't know if it's going to actually end up in the actual show, but one like the first piece of footage we saw for the show was like Wanda and Vision like both like snapping up forward in like this black and white room that that I guess she's probably projecting over, but like it was still like both of them like in color and modern look. So I don't really know how that's gonna go, and honestly, that could just be a horrific scene where we have to watch Vision just disintegrate again, which would be horrible.
Oh my god!
Which but it could be leading up to that because we're getting all these traumas. We got the let's not forget our weekly commercial where we get the Hydra
Hydra.
soap or whatever.
Which apparently was a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference. Coulson talked about for I think the Tahiti stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's at the end of season 1 with Tahiti. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What a finally acknowledgement. Still in TV, but acknowledgement.
It's canon.
Everybody watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the best show ever. It's great. But also another important thing that we noticed in this episode was that when Monica Rambeau got kicked out of the bubble or whatever and came back to the real world, she was still wearing her 70s clothes. So the things in Wanda's realm, when they get kicked out, still remain there. So in that sense, if Vision gets kicked out, is Vision there?
Well, I don't know, because I think they were also establishing with just like the paranoia of like Catherine Hahn's character that I think she just infiltrated it. They were saying like she just came up out of nowhere. She doesn't have a family. She doesn't even have a house. Like, how does that work? So she could have just like infiltrated.
That's a good point. She could have like just put her like 70s clothes on and then walked in. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, in the 60s aesthetic, I'm just also trying to think like, I mean, there wouldn't really be like just this. Why is there a beekeeper in the sewer? I don't know. Like, there's like a lot of weirdness.
Yeah, and what's also interesting, I want to talk about the characters that were like, first the guy that like cuts through the wall, and then the girl who's talking to him, and then they're kind of like out of character in a sense. That they're kind of talking like, oh, should we tell him? Should we tell him? Which was weird to me. Is like, how many of these people are they slipping in and out of Wanda's control, or is this like another deliberate plant of somebody that like kind of knows what's up, or you know what I mean? It's like it's very interesting that there's more than just Monica Rambeau who's kind of seems suspicious, I guess. And those two characters gave me very suspicious vibes at the end of that episode. And then she kind of bikes away and gets back into character and is like, "All right, gotta go." Gets back into sitcom character, and then the other guy like gets back into character, and then Vision's just kind of like, "What?"
Yeah, it makes me kind of wonder if it's. It makes me kind of wonder if it's an instance where like maybe some of them could also be S.W.O.R.D agents that are infiltrated, or if it's. If they legitimately just like don't know what's going on, they like care about Vision's well-being. I don't know. It's all up in the air at the moment, but it's very unsettling and alarming for everybody.
I still think Herb is just an ordinary person to me. That's just what it's coming off as. Maybe a little bit of his like
this man cut
mental states coming in and out.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. But Agnes is the main one. Like, you don't bring Catherine Hahn in the show just to be like, hey, what's going on? Like, I don't think she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but I do think she's like some kind of entity or something. I don't know. She knows more than what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I was saying before you cut out there for a second that like they get back on the bike and then she gets back into sitcom character kind of, and then she like rings the little bell and is like, all right, toodle doodle doo, like see you later, like bye neighbor. And it was weird to see her like snap back, because also there's a shot where Vision's looking at him, and then it cuts to her face looking at the neighbor, and she's like devastated, and then she flips around and we see the perspective of her looking at Vision, and then she flips back into character of like smiling and all like, oh, hi neighbor, like so something is very suspicious. If you go back and look at that, it's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah. Why did Herb's just left there? Like, what can he say?
I know. He's just like, well,
see you, buddy. I'm gonna go walk into my matte painting. But such good aesthetics throughout the whole episode. It's so well done.
Yeah.
We'll also say I really did enjoy like a lot of like fun humor all around. Also, when it actually got to like the birth of the children, sweetest moment of Vision and Wanda just like seeing their children for the first time was so lovely. And again, I'm so sad because we're gonna lose it. In the moment though, it was so It was so nice. Like that nice moment where Wanda's just like, "Don't you want to meet your son as yourself?" Like that was so nice. And like
Mm-hmm.
picking like the preferred names,
Picking
but
the
then
name.
it's so beautiful. But then end up having both, which will eventually become the characters of Wiccan and Speed, of which one, if you can't tell from the obvious names, one has like Wanda's type of sorcerer powers, and the other has super speed, similar to how Pietro has. But also, I think they've also been showcasing a lot of Vision having super speed lately in the show.
Yeah. The doctor going on vacation.
Exactly.
He's like,
Yeah.
can we walk this time? I don't want to. I don't want to fly.
It was eerie, like line from the doctor as well. It's like, I don't think we're going on a trip. Small towns, hard to escape.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that line.
Wait,
Yeah,
I forgot,
like,
Carson.
ooh, what's going on here? Yeah.
I forget, Carson. Did you ever end up seeing the Truman Show?
No, I have
Honestly,
not yet.
you should give it a watch before
Oh,
the show
wow.
ends, 'cause, like there was a lot of these elements there. I think especially just in the realm of like S.W.O.R.D, watching in on like what Wanda's doing in this like locked world. I think it definitely has relevance in that sense.
Yeah, it definitely gives. I mean, just anything I've seen from that movie of just like mostly all the poster art for it. I'm just like, oh my god, like this looks like both like horrifying and fascinating at the same time, and it's just a classic that I need to get to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I watched. I did a double feature of Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine, like a Jim Carrey double feature, and it was great. They're both masterpieces. Yeah,
those are good.
Loved
That's
it.
a good combo. Nice. Yeah, this episode, man, I really enjoy. I think I liked it the most of the three, which most people were saying when they got their screeners. But now I guess we're up to date with the pre-critics that we don't really know where we're heading next. I mean, I think like we have like similar trailer footage. I think we're gonna have like some baby hijinks and stuff. But I think they were also saying like
baby. Yeah, exactly. I think Elizabeth Olsen said like there's going to be more moving the plot forward and more like different perspectives. I think she said. Like there's a recent interview where she said, "I'm glad the press only saw the first 3 episodes because the next one, episode 4, dives into like perspectives that we're not used to," which has me thinking like, are we finally going to see the perspective of the S.W.O.R.D agents? Which is one of the main questions that I had going out of this episode. Like, what was their perspective of seeing Monica getting kicked out? What's their next move going to be now that Monica got kicked out, and now is she allowed to come back in?
And how did she get back in?
Like,
and they had that whole we see at the end, there's a compound that they're sitting right outside like the radius, and they have like lights on it, and they're trying to figure out. Totally give me Annihilation vibes, going into the shimmer. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting because like it actually is like an existing town, but it looks like kind of run down, abandoned from the sign. So I wonder if like Wanda did just run away to there and just revamp the whole thing, which I'm sure is the case.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think is the case.
I'm still very curious if they're gonna like dive into like how and like when Wanda ran off there, because literally the last time before the show we saw her was just standing at the river next to Hawkeye at the funeral in Endgame, and then that was that. We don't really know how Wanda ended up in this scenario or like how long after everything went down.
Yeah. It's crazy. But like Evan said, I think we're gonna see. Yeah, and we're gonna see. I think we're going to see the S.W.O.R.D perspective. Probably, I would not be surprised if it opened with that this next episode, because we got a glorious aspect ratio change. Nathan, I know you wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I love it. It's like
No, it went. Okay, so it went from the sitcom like
4:3,
square 4:3, and then it went out to like.
I think
16:9 widescreen, and then it went down to like 1.33, like with the black bars, and I'm like, yes, it's so cool because it doesn't anything that we saw. Like the first shot that we saw of outside of it was like movie aesthetic, like with black bars. I'm like, that's cool because the rest of the show has not been that way because of the different aesthetics that it's been trying to emulate. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so good. Also, I'm just like thinking about it now, just thinking about like in terms of reasoning as to like why Wanda is diving in to do all this. Like I forget like how fresh she is off of her trauma, because like right from Infinity War, like the fact that she had to kill Vision herself and then had to watch him die again, and then immediately she herself was dusted away, and then when she immediately comes back, she has to physically take on Thanos and stuff and go through that, and then immediately jump into like Stark's funeral, and it's all somber and awful. Um, so it's like I understand
yeah.
why she wanted to just break away from everything for sure.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Which goes back to the ending of this. I could see like what me and Nathan were talking about earlier with her kids leaving, and then that creates a reverse House of M, where in the original House of M, she took away mutants' powers. This one, she can give the MCU the ability to have more mutants. But I still think this show cannot end in tragedy. Granted, like we have no idea what Vision or the kids could be doing after WandaVision. Like Vision's not confirmed to be in Doctor Strange or any of the other Phase 4 or Phase 5 movies yet.
Right.
So maybe they could reveal that afterwards, but I just feel like Vision has to come back. There's no way the show ends where Vision just remains dead. It's too tragic. We don't go 9 episodes of WandaVision having a fun life or whatever.
They set up
and then just for
our
Vision
hope.
to end up dead.
They set up our hope that Vision, if you take out the stone, you still have a lot of Vision left, maybe even the best parts. Please.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, that could have just been false hope from the Russos being like, "Ha, I gotcha," but you know.
Yeah. Now I wonder because in the trailer we do see a shot of like at least I don't know if it's Wanda like analyzing or looking at the Soul Stone or like doing something to
I was
it.
just about to say that.
And so it could get an instance that as this reality is breaking down, Wanda starts to cut her losses and figure out other options and try to figure out, okay, what can I do? Now, you know, like, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, because Wanda also got her powers from like the Soul Stone, right? So I think, I mean, not Mind Stone, yeah, and it didn't really give her powers. It kind of like the MCU is saying like it unlocked the powers that were already inside of her.
Right.
So I think somehow she can manipulate the Mind Stone or whatever to get Vision back to normalcy. Granted, I don't know where that's going to leave him after this show. I don't think he is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. But like, what's going to happen with Wanda? Like, I don't know. The ending of the show is very curious because I think it's going to lead to the multiverse and things. But at the same time, I don't want it to be because of all this tragedy. I want a happy ending for Wanda.
Me too. Me too. She deserves it. She's been through so much. Every movie, like,
exactly.
She's got to rip the multiverse in half first, and then we'll get Doctor Strange, and then hopefully she'll find some healing after that.
This poor woman, just from the get-go, she's like manipulated by Ultron. In the very next movie, I accidentally killed people in a hospital, and now
can we just talk about that name drop? Like that was bone chilling when Monica Rambeau was just like, yeah, so like Ultron killed them, right? And she's like, now wait a damn minute.
What did you say? What did you say about Pietro? How dare you? Get out of my house.
I was also thinking too, like she's just like wearing that sword necklace, and I'm like, I wondered like if they wore those so like other people could identify them inside, or something.
Could be a tracking thing.
It could be a tracking thing. So I was wondering that, or I was even wondering like, did like Wanda like mark her of like all of a sudden she got suspicious and like wait. Like,
don't you love how like super covert spy people will put their logo on everything?
I know, that's why I was kind of funny. I'm like, did Wanda do that maybe? So like to like act on that suspicion? I don't know, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's so good. I'm very excited to see where things go next. I'm always excited weekly now to get a brand new intro. I'm excited to see like what type of era we're going to be tackling because I think we're heading into the 80s this time. I'm very excited to see what kind of sitcom look we're going to get for that. Very fun. Very fun.
It's like classic sitcom. Like we're going to get so much from next episode. I think
honestly, I can't wait to see I was like, I can't wait to see what they do for like the mid 2000s intro.
I know. I'm half imagining like a Disney Channel opening kind of like, you know, it's like, you know, like Hannah Montana opening, like it's something like can you imagine where it's like, and it's just like the starring whatever, and it's still up as they're like as the first scene is playing, you know, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it's gonna be. But I wanted to say this episode was 25 minutes, and then they had like that weird 8-minute credit thing again, and so it makes me wonder what made them decide to split this all up, because it definitely could have been more combined episodes, but then I guess they decided to parse it up into 9 episodes. So I'm excited to analyze with you guys when that is over, like what we can kind of speculate.
Yeah, I remember Feige was saying, he was talking about the different runtimes of the different projects, and he was like saying like in confirmation, it's like Falcon Winter Soldier, it's basically like a 6-hour movie, so we're gonna have like hour-ish long episodes per episode. But with like WandaVision, it's like since they're not in the confines of like commercial airings and stuff, that they can have whatever length of runtime they want. So like it'll be like a little like eased up at the beginning, but then like the episodes will stretch out longer as more stuff goes down.
Okay.
Hopefully. I mean, it's been my bigger gripe of the season, where it's like the runtime on Disney Plus is 36 minutes, but then the show ends like at 25 minutes, like 10 minutes of credits. Like, what is going on in this show? Like, just lower down your credits. It really doesn't make sense to me.
And every time I'm like, will I miss an end credit scene this time? I don't know. I'm scared. I feel like all bets are off after Lucasfilm did it, so I'm just like, but yeah, otherwise I'm super hyped.
Exactly.
Can't wait for more. Love the show. Also, I forgot, like I was saying, like when we premiered, like, man, Falcon Winter Soldier was supposed to come first, but at the same time, it's like Black Widow was supposed to come first. All these,
I don't know.
But I mean,
that's a good transition, actually.
Yeah, speaking of like shifts and dates and such, fun. It's so funny because I was literally hearing at my work, I was just like, oh yeah, things are probably gonna go like up in March, because we got a lot of things coming and everything else. And it's like, all right, cool. And now this, like a few days later, the studios were just like, hey, no.
All right, I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Boink.
So this is the first big day.
Okay, great.
Nice.
I love it.
It's running order. Ah, yes, Young Hearts. Everyone's been waiting.
Everyone's been waiting.
The heck is Young Hearts? I never even heard of that movie.
So, Peter Rabbit 2 delayed again. We
Oh my
will
God,
not
I
get to
walked by
see
that
Domhnall
poster.
Gleeson rolling down a hill in glorious cinematic fashion.
Don't know.
I can't pronounce it. I tried. Then we have the Cinderella movie that was supposed to come out like 2 weeks from now and didn't have a trailer, and it was
I
like
forgot
Camila.
what this even was.
It's Camila Cabello and like basically an off-brand Cinderella movie, which I think it's. Let me click on it.
Is like the modern type, like a Cinderella story type telling?
I don't know. What is there a?
It looked modern day-ish, at least from like there was like a couple images.
I remember seeing a picture. Yeah.
Okay.
What has this person done? Okay, so this person's the Pitch Perfect has directed the Pitch Perfect movies.
Okay. Screenwriter, co-writer.
Or at least written it, or is directing it?
Written, sorry. Or story by, and then she directed Blockers and this new movie. Okay. Oh my God, let me go back, please. Thank you. And then the new from the prominent Game of Thrones director, Miguel.
Can you zoom in a bit, Carson?
Yeah, sorry. From
Perfect.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones director bio starring Tom Hanks got pushed back to August. And then of course the big ones really are No Time to Die for like the 5th time, and then
Every day, I walk by
all
a big
all
standee of No
Sony's.
Time to Die. I walk by a big standee of No Time to Die that says the release date is for November. So now I guess not far off, but a whole year delay. All of our cups and popcorn tubs have No Time to Die for April 2020. I swear to God.
Oh, that's painful.
Every
Super painful.
every day I wake up and there's No Time to Die.
But yeah, it's again just begs the question that even, or I'm about to scroll up, and A Quiet Place 2 is even moving. It's like, they're still betting on this theatrical comeback because not everybody has the luxury of doing, especially with, we talked about it before, of HBO Max basically getting everybody adjusted to having, Kong versus Godzilla on day one, and it's so premium VOD is just going to be tough unless you're Disney with like your animation where families are going to buy it so their kids can have something to watch, or you're an indie movie that VOD is kind of like your only option at that moment. It's going to be tough to not have any other hybrid thing that isn't day and date. So it's very interesting to see all these moves because they're gonna have to go standard theatrical or be sold because it's just like not a lot of wiggle room, and I think we're gonna see even more moves. I hope. I want to get your guys' reassessment on like where do you think the potential can come back, because I know we talked about like, okay, Black Widow, Fast and Furious could be the big weekends back maybe, or we even thought A Quiet Place a while ago, but obviously that's moved. I want to get your guesstimates on where you think things are headed.
At this point, I think they're probably just going to be measuring all the Warner Brother HBO Max releases, because I think like back to back in months we're going to get Tom and Jerry in I think February and March, Godzilla Kong in April, Mortal Kombat. So I guess
even
like,
next week we got Little Things with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and
I'm actually looking forward to that.
Jared Leto. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I saw the poster at work one day and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I randomly found out it was part of the HBO Max stuff. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting question because I mean, like I thought it was going to be March and we were all going to be good, but that's not going to be the case anymore. I'm leaning towards August, September, October definitely, but like I don't know. Like this fall seems liable, but I don't think we can go off of the HBO Max stuff anymore. It's just impossible to determine success off of that. Like I remember back in December, we were like, okay, we're gonna see what Wonder Woman does in December, and that'll kind of be the linchpin. But we see Wonder Woman, it's not doing as well as like Croods 2, for example. So it's like, is that a success? At least domestically, I mean. Is that a success for Wonder Woman? And Little Things is probably not going to make nearly as much. It's a crime thriller, dark, rated R. I mean, it has Denzel, but I think that'll make like what, 6 million next week. So
something like that.
And
it's even harder because even more theaters have increasingly closed since Tenet because it's been a backlash kind of like, if we're not going to have exclusive content, then why are we going to be open? We're going to wait out the storm and try to get more financing. Another move I'm interested in is now that No Time to Die and Dune are within a week with each other. The difference being that Dune will have the HBO Max presumably still then. But do you think Warner Brothers might move Dune to 2022 now, so No Time to Die and Dune wouldn't be competing in like the UK and Australia and everywhere else to get together in theaters?
It's so crazy. Is Dune finished since it was supposed to release in December? Is it like done?
Oh, Dune is definitely finished.
Oh my god, yeah. I feel so bad that they're just like holding it.
Yeah, I think it's either close to done or done because I remember reading those interviews back in August where Denis was like, it's a race to the finish line. So I bet they probably, have a lot more flexibility in their schedule now. But regardless, it's like, I hate that it becomes a game of, it's honestly like, it's becoming a release date gambit out here where everyone's like, okay, you're going to move. Like, I have the bigger movie. What are you going to do? Like, because everyone wants to catch whenever that wave happens, when vaccinations just increased tenfold, like both with the new administration and what's it called? There's the new Johnson and I read yesterday the new Johnson and Johnson vaccine it's a one-shot one and it only has to be refrigerated. When all that stuff comes out, every studio wants to be that week or that month after all that happens, so then they can catch that wave, and it's just another game, another year of chicken, I guess. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
it's so disappointing. I mean, looking at the schedule here, June and July still seem pretty solid. Like you have Conjuring, Pixar's Luca, In the Heights, Venom, Top Gun Maverick at the beginning of July. So those summer movies, like the end of June, the beginning of July, seem pretty solid. But then again, like that could easily get delayed as well.
And I wanted to bring up the question also of, would Marvel put Black Widow on premium access? And I still contend that the answer is no, because they know that movie can make maximum money anywhere in a full theatrical market. And so it doesn't, I still think, and then, it's kind of a slippery slope for Marvel movies because that, right now at least, that's like, we know people are going to go back to Marvel movies, right? If you release one on premium video on demand, what does that do for people that expect it by the time Eternals comes out? Like, can we watch it on Disney Plus? And by then that everything was back to normal, and they're like, we can't watch it on Disney Plus. Like, what's going on? So I still don't think they would do that just because they're kind of at the top, and I don't think they need to. Even if it results in another push, I still think it's gonna go theatrical. Just they're pretty much the only ones that can kind of afford to. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Marvel, they keep saying like none of the Marvel movies are ever going to go to Disney Plus, no matter how many people want to, just so more viewers can see it. No, it's never going to happen. Yeah. They care about the money. They're definitely going to release it in theaters. And that's kind of being the gist of all these release date changes. Like No Time to Die denied advances from like Netflix or Apple TV because they wanted to buy No Time to Die, or maybe I'm talking about Top Gun. Either way, like a lot of streamers want these movies, but a lot of the studios are denying them. They're just going to keep on delaying it because they want that theatrical release, which is super exciting for me. But at the same time, it is disappointing because I really want to see these movies as soon as possible.
Yeah, and
another round here. I'll still hear some customers like come in like asking like when you think like movies will like shift back to normal and like have interest. Like I had a dude come in like we didn't have any marketing up for it, but he was asking me about Dune. Like, you guys excited for that? I was like, wow, yeah. Like,
come talk to me at Register 4. I'll talk to you about Dune.
Get you that discount.
But we got the answers for all the Searchlight release dates. I know me and Evan have been going back and forth on Twitter of like, since Disney now owns the Hulu stuff, that they were and announced that Searchlight movies were going to be going on Hulu, that they could potentially dump the already done ones onto Hulu, like Antlers, but they're going theatrical, which is kind of expected, kind of half not, but awards, it seems very awards fashion. So we got all those release dates for the fall.
What were you gonna say, Nathan?
Okay, so just like, not to jump ahead, but like the Kingsman was moved. And let me just say, I'm just like, I walk around everywhere I see empathy. I went to go, I saw a screening of Wonder Woman, and the trailer played for the Kingsman, and it was like March of this year. No. And then like I'll go out and there's a standee that says September, and it's like no. And then I'll go like to this like big banner poster that says coming to theaters, and I'm like, when? What do I believe anymore?
It's so confusing, right? And it's like, if we weren't up to date on, I can't imagine people like casual moviegoers of like, just like, hey, like, what I heard about this movie for the first time, like, when is it coming out? And then like looking up the poster for it, and then there'll be like 3 different release dates on the posters. That's crazy to me.
Those original prints.
I hope though. I hope to see Antlers on Halloween. That sounds very exciting to me. I've been looking forward to Antlers for a long time because the director
And of
I forget his
course,
name, but yeah,
Nightmare
super
on
excited.
Me.
I'm so excited for that.
I
And
mean,
of
that
course,
has to be easy
Morbius
Best Picture nominee, right? Nightmare Alley.
for sure. Bradley Cooper times Guillermo del Toro. I mean, I'm sold. Like,
And there's
come on.
tons of other actors in that movie.
Isn't like
That
Kate Blanchett
cast
in
is
it, or
stacked.
there's a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
But Morbius officially becomes a January movie. It's kind of funny.
I believe it.
Yeah. I tweeted it out. I'm like, it seemed like a January movie at this point, so it kind of is
does.
fitting that it's going to be.
And then I saw
was
I saw
reading that
Nathan's tweet.
forever ago.
Nathan's
what?
like,
Sorry.
but what about the continuity for going from the Spider-Man 3? Because it was supposed to be Morbius and Spider-Man 3. And
Oh, wow, you're right.
Or whatever. And Nathan's like, what about the cameos?
Yeah, the Sinister, and it's so funny because I'm like, wait, how does are they just gonna back? I don't know when things are gonna pop up because I was like, is it gonna fit with Spider-Man 3? Will it fit with the Spider-Verse thing? I've always said the separate movies, but also I'm just sitting here thinking like, man, I read skimmed most of that plot leak of like how the actual plot is, and like, yeah, that is a January movie. It's alright.
But I think like Sony and Marvel don't care about that because Morbius and Venom 2 are always going to be very separate from what was going on in Spider-Man 3 with the multiverse and stuff anyways.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I think Marvel's like, okay, keep on delaying it however long you need to. Spider-Man 3 still has not changed though. I still think that's going to be the Christmas movie. So hopefully that sticks.
Well, they're actually if we get, I don't know if we were gonna get into on-set photos, but it looks like they're
we'll talk about it soon.
Scenes around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is very interesting. And what was I gonna say? I wanted to speculate. So I think if Black Widow has to move again, I think it goes November, and then they have to move Eternals probably to like spring next year, and then I think they would make Spidey 3 a summer movie. If things
you skipped over Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi supposed to be July.
Oh, Shang-Chi is in July. I forgot about that. So where would that go? Maybe they would
see. I think Black Widow would move to July, and then Shang-Chi to November, and then everything just gets like scooted back again, just like they did last time.
Yeah, that could work as well.
I'm so tired.
But that's if July is. Yeah, that's if July is good. At this point, if Black Widow moves, then summer's dead, right? I think Black Widow is the linchpin for the summer. If Black Widow moves, then you're like, okay, summer's officially gone.
Especially because Fast and Furious movies have been making like 90% of their money elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So, but the last thing,
speaking of
Quiet
that,
Place.
Yeah. Oh, Quiet Place is what now? When is that?
It's September 17th. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So right at the beginning, like the horror, like kind of fall season, right after the summer, it'll be like a couple weeks after Suicide Squad comes out, hopefully, and Kingsman and a couple other things. But
another instance, walking my theater, and I'm just like, oh, look at this beautiful standee for A Quiet Place 2 for March. And
this is like the most extreme example because critics saw this movie. Guys, remember they had a Rotten Tomatoes score. I think it still has a Rotten Tomatoes score. Because
does this? No way.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the embargo lifted and you could buy double feature opening night tickets. I think I had opening night tickets, and then within 3 days of when everything started happening and the first case got confirmed in the U.S. on the West Coast or whatever, then I remember Krasinski tweeted out, he's like, "Sorry guys, we got to move our movie," and then
like a week before, like I had my tickets bought and everything, and a week before premiere they pushed.
So it's just insane that hopefully, I think this will be the time. Hopefully by September, October, I'm thinking is going to be the prime time to get back.
It reminds me of a more,
which would be perfect because then it's fall.
It reminds me of a more extreme instance of when like I watched Stuckman's review for Split, like I think like 4 or 5 months before it actually debuted in theaters, and it was like sitting on the twist and stuff. And I was just like, oh my god, I really want to see this. When's it coming out?
That's right, because didn't it debut at I can't remember where.
TIFF.
Yeah. Canes or something, yeah.
TIFF, I think so.
TIFF.
Tiffany. No.
But yeah, I think that's it on the release date changes for now. It's just another sitting and watching thing.
Sitting and watching. and like we always try and say like which movie is going to be the big change here. I think Godzilla versus King Kong could be it, but with anything we just don't know. It just in terms of spectacle, Godzilla and Kong are the only like the biggest ones before Black Widow at this point, right? So
Yeah,
that's
and
like the
another
biggest
thing,
judge.
we'll be watching Raya on how it performs on premium access, because Soul was not premium access and did really, really, really well. And there's a lot of, most people just kind of mix up Pixar and Disney animation, anyways. So there's gonna be a interesting thing to see if people are like, oh, I have to pay for Raya and I didn't have to pay for Soul. Like, what's going on? Like, so I'm curious to see. We won't really learn about how that performs, but I imagine we'll know, because I would imagine if things are still as they are come July, I would imagine they would put Luca in the same boat, and they would put Luca, pay $20 on Disney Plus, and you can see it in theaters if Raya did good. So I'm also watching that because that's kind of an interesting thing. But that's all I have on that topic, I think.
Alrighty.
Yep. Let's move on to some Marvel news.
All right, let me get my Spider-Verse out of the way. Hearing that apparently, if reports are to be believed, that in fact Charlie Cox has returned for Spider-Man 3, that he has already wrapped his scenes. Yes. And I think also, like, similarly, just to jump off that, there was like Kevin Feige was having interview rounds for WandaVision, and somebody was asking, like, is there any shot of seeing Charlie Cox return as a character? And Feige's like pretty open. It's like never say never, stuff like that. So that's great. Always great to hear.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see Charlie Cox back as Daredevil. If that is the case, I'm not getting my hopes up for screen time. Or I'm not even getting my hopes up for Charlie Cox in the suit. I just want to see him in like his lawyer's suit.
I'm fine with that.
I think that's like me too. Like, I'm completely fine with that. Of course, I think for the regular audience who's never watched Daredevil on Netflix, I think there'll be the like a nod or something saying like I'm the devil or
like
something like that.
They could have a brief altercation alley scene or something. Maybe just like just picking off a goon or something. But yeah,
I'm trying to find the meme that somebody made of Hux on Starkiller Base, and it was like telling me to watch Daredevil, and I wanted to pull. Someone in our group chat made it. It's like, this is the day that Carson will start Daredevil.
It's crazy how you haven't started. Like, what were you doing in 2016 when the show started?
I have seen the entire first season, and like halfway through season 2, I just dropped it for some reason. I couldn't tell you why.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen the entire first season. I can't.
Yeah, the Punisher on there. You just stopped season 2.
I know. I'm horrible.
I mean, I haven't
disgusting.
seen season 2 yet. I feel horrible. I haven't seen season.
Oh
2
my! Who am I talking to?
I know.
It's
I know. You were not.
Smash his thumbs. Evan is baffled.
I am
baffled.
Podcast with buffoons right now. Jeez.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm excited for this character because it seems like such a natural combo, right? And it like I can't explain it, and I know there's probably some more comic stuff to justify it and back it up and kind of understand what the dynamic actually is. But we've always said it on the show, like the identity crisis thing, especially with now his name being, basically ousted to the public, could be interesting. He's gonna need a lawyer. I would love it. They're in the same proximity. Kevin Feige knows that everybody would lose it. So that's where I'm at.
This gets into my whole big question here. At the end of Spider-Man 2, Mysterio reveals Peter Parker is Spider-Man, blah, 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 blah. But let's talk about that. Let's combine this discussion with the whole set photo of Peter Parker, presumably like in the Christmas time, going into a coffee shop or whatever, hot chocolate shop, to see Zendaya's character, MJ. You think that's the end of the movie?
It could be.
That would make sense to me because Yeah, because like he's supposed to be on the run, so like how is he just casually just like, hey, I'm just gonna go get some chocolate? Like, are they going to make a big deal out of his identity, or are they not? Are they going to solve it in the first 5 minutes? I have no idea.
Or maybe
I don't. I think okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just got a good idea. Or maybe they're like trying to like go on a date, like after like the news dies down for a second, and then all of a sudden like the press and everybody swarms the coffee shop during a date, and he has to like get Zendaya out of there. I could see that happening, but also I feel like he wouldn't just like go back to normal life like as soon as like
it's huge.
Yeah.
Well, there was another set photo that was like looking at this this billboard, not billboard, but like this thing that has so many like different flyers posted up. One of which was about like Mysterio, like in regards to Mysterio's death and stuff. And there was like two separate flyers, like one being on the side of like Spider-Man's a murderer and accountability and stuff, and the other one like people who are like in defense of Spider-Man and stuff. So it's like a public differentiation there, which I think would be fascinating to touch on.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get a title for this movie and just kind of like understand where it's gonna go a little bit, because
I don't think the title's gonna give us anything.
You don't
so
know.
Ready for the title to not have home in it at all.
Spider-Man Far From Court. Like, let's go.
Trials of the Spider.
Trials of the Spider. Oh man, Trials of the Spidey 7. Oh, get it? Because Trials of the Spidey 6. Because it's there we go.
Oh, Morbius. I'm sorry.
written by Aaron Sorkin.
Who's doing the cinematography of this movie?
Bradford Young. Here we go. We're getting Oscar nominations for the everything.
I'm down too. But I also just like to say I still think in terms of the whole multiverse of it all, I still think Peter Parker, or not Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are also going to have limited roles similar to Daredevil. Probably in the third act to kind of believe those rumors as well.
For now.
So
we get to the
for now, yeah.
Separate movies.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
It's gonna. I think that has way more. Somehow, I think it has way more longevity than Loki being in Thor 4.
You're wrong on both of those.
No, he's got. We are opening the multiverse.
Loki is
different.
1,000,000%. Loki is 1,000,000% going to be in Thor 4.
You got Matt Damon.
Like, lock it down.
You got it. All right.
We're gonna get Damon. Both. Damn it, we want both.
Yes.
Flashback at best.
You'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you'll see.
You all see.
Anyway.
Should we talk about Cap?
Yeah. Okay. Just like right off the bat. So the news was like, oh, Chris Evans to reprise Captain America, which, a couple things. Number one is Chris Evans tweeted. He didn't specifically mention, but he was just tweeting like news to me while he was trending. Also, reading such a headline, I felt so deflated, like because I feel like that detracts from the ending and detracts from the Falcon Winter Soldier story that I think is going to explore of Anthony Mackie getting the shield, which I really want. And so, if it ever did come down to a thing where Chris Evans is coming back as Cap, I don't want it to go beyond like some flashback conversation or something. I don't need old man Cap back. I don't need a young Steve in his prime. I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like when I heard the headline, I'm like, people are excited about this, but it's one of those weird MCU things where it's like any big MCU announcement, it's like, oh yeah, Chris Evans is back. I don't care if it makes sense or not. I just want to see Chris Evans as Captain America again. And I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want him back. He didn't in Far From Home. Didn't they say like he died? Like they said like let's embrace the fallen or whatever. And that really like
I mean they mocked it, but
cool.
It doesn't necessarily say that like he's dead, but he could just be like retired out. People could presume he's dead, but
True.
Yeah.
Um,
Regardless, he gets that ending, and it's like, why would you ever want to like
Continue.
override
Like,
that / continue with the, the one that grew out in that time? Like, you know what I mean? Just like,
people started pitching like, I'll watch a Disney Plus series of him in the alternate timeline or returning the
like
stones.
why
And I'm
though?
like,
Like he's
that
just
sounds
no,
so
I don't need
stupid.
it.
that's normal life.
Yeah.
Like that's his epiphany, is like he finally gets to live that.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to watch
We-
it?
Like we went through almost time with Cap as we did with Iron Man, and
mhm.
like it's plenty. It's like a full decade's worth of story you got in like different appearances and stuff. We're good. It's done.
We
We had a
passed the
beautiful
shield.
dance at the end game. He's
We
literally
passed
the
the
final.
shield, man.
He's in the final shot. Past the shield. It's such a beautiful moment. You know, he's literally the final shot at Endgame. We're good. We're done. We did it. New Cap.
It just it gets me so nervous because it comes from like the Hollywood Reporter. It comes from people who usually get these kind of scoops correct. But at the same time, I'm like, because I think it said like he's reportedly going to be in one film, but like his contract could extend to possibly more. And I'm like, who wants that? Like, and I don't know where he could possibly be. Like, it could be a Doctor Strange multiverse where you see a multiverse version of Cap for like 2 minutes. I would be okay with that. Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, I'm just
I don't
afraid
know where
they-
else.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want them to pull something where it's like, even if it's old Steve or not, I don't want them to pull like a mentor role for like Sam. I think he's got it on his own, going through like the whatever he's going to go through in Falcon Winter Soldier. I think.
Yeah, that would seem cheap.
Yeah,
And let's not forget we have Bucky too, who has a lot of that shared friendship with Steve, who that's an added layer of like their dynamic.
Which is how I could believe they could maybe like have a flashback scene on occasion,
Right.
But otherwise.
But also, I think as far as like big Avengers returning goes, I think they're focused elsewhere. Like I really think that we're gonna be getting to the new, like the young Avengers, right? Because we're establishing all these shows that are gonna build up.
Like at most of like I hear like at Avengers returning, I think like what we have already officially announced sounds like a lot more interesting. Like whether it's Mark Ruffalo coming back for She-Hulk or Don Cheadle in Armor Wars and stuff. And I especially would love that aspect of like if instead of having Tony be the mentor for Ironheart, it could be War Machine in that sense. I think that would be like even better.
Agreed. Yeah, we got
totally
Young
agree.
Avengers coming up because we already have basically the Miss Marvel, who's gonna then be in Captain Marvel 2. It seems like they're gonna do a lot of like transitioning the new kind of era of Avengers, either from TV shows into the movies, so they don't have to do like a true origin story for each of them or whatnot. And then also we have the Fantastic Four and stuff on the horizon. We have all this stuff that I think is just a new, like, can lead to new Avengers level threat type movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it has to like always pin back of like, oh, we're just gonna wait 5 years and then we'll bring everybody back. I think they're just gonna move forward to these other channels of whether it's X-Men, Fantastic Four, Young Avengers. I think we're just on a different path now for the best.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted out like a fan.
Yeah, totally. I think Phase 4 and Phase 5.
I wonder how delayed I am to Evan. Like, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I remember I was also seeing like people sharing like fan art of like shared World War II, like fan art of Cap and Wolverine running together, and I was like, okay, it's cool, but I don't need it right now.
I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about that stuff. It's like, just because it can exist doesn't mean it needs to, nor should it. You know what I mean? It's like, if we don't have a legitimate reason, like you said, Nathan, like 2 minutes ago, like if you don't have like the Mark Ruffalo and She-Hulk kind of angle, if like you don't have an angle for this character to actually be meaningful to the story, but whatever new characters exist, then it's like, why use them at all if it's purely to just have them there because they were successful on their run? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of.
I mean, if they were like
to me.
In that instance of the Photoshop, if they were to do like a fun little gag where it's like running through Wolverine's history, like through the war, and it's just like for like 10 seconds you just see like Cap
Right.
running a mission in the background and he's annoyed at like the Boy Scout or something, and then they just move on. Like that would be a funny like little laugh, and like I'll be fine
Yeah.
for that. Like having the Homecoming cameo for Chris Evans, like it's not too effective on the plot, and that's fine like for a little gag, but I don't need like a full like plot driven character reintroduction again, because I think we've moved beyond his storyline.
Right. And it's actually like, I mean, I guess Deadpool might be a good example of like little cameos. Like I love when he goes to the X-Men house or whatever, and they're all sitting in the back room and they're all looking at him, and then the door closes and you just continue
all these
on with
stars,
Deadpool.
all of these stars just right there for 5 seconds.
It's perfect. I love those kind of cameos, but they don't affect the story in any way, and that's why they're cameos, man. Like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we?
Oh yeah. Real quick about like the Matt Damon and Gore the God Butcher stuff. I think that kind of ties into the story of Thor 4 in an interesting way, because I think Gore the God Butcher might be a character that, like in the comic books, like his family gets killed and he blames the gods for like not protecting them or whatever, and then he gets like the Gore the God Butcher blade, and then he starts killing gods. Pretty simple story. Here in the MCU, I think it could be that during Endgame, or during the snap, I mean specifically, maybe his family gets snapped away on this alien planet, and then he blames the gods because the gods don't help them. We saw in Endgame, Thor's just sitting there becoming fat and drunk. So maybe he blames Thor for not doing anything. He's playing Fortnite. So maybe he blames Thor there, and he tries to kill the gods, and hence Matt Damon, who's dressed up as a god, could be killed like the first 5 minutes of this movie because Gore thinks he's like an actual god, and then he just kills the guy like in a funny comedic scene.
And we still get our Loki death running gag.
that is so Taika, Evan. Like you nailed it. I think that could totally be representative of what's happening, because it's so absurd just thinking of it that I know Taika is sitting there in his chair, like half asleep, just like, like, you know, like Taika, like half falling asleep, just like,
right.
You know what? I think I'm gonna do it. I'm just writing it down.
He can literally do whatever he wants to.
Now I need that to happen. I need it to happen.
that was just like my theory that shot up in my head, because I'm like, that sounds like a very funny. The first time I saw that, I was dying in the theater.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's a perfect scene.
I guess like also in like casting and stuff, like basically every Guardian, other than Zoe Saldana, has seemingly been confirmed to be around the Australian set for Love and Thunder. So I think we're still going to be like within the time frame of probably, I don't know if like Peter's told anybody, but you know he's probably still looking for Gamora in that sense. And we're probably gonna have like a really funny intro of just Thor getting kicked out from like a failed mission or something. I think that could be pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and I still think the Guardians are gonna be like 15 minutes in the beginning. But if all of them are there, I don't know. Maybe they're there for longer. But we have a lot to do.
You say 15 minutes?
Yeah, 10, maybe just the opening. Maybe like we talked about the opening of Ragnarok. I think 9 minutes.
I think it's just like they're all there because that's just with continuity, and like I believe that Marvel has the money to do it. It's fine. So remember how like even before their second Avengers film, Chris Evans is as Cap in Thor: The Dark World because it's Loki for like 30 seconds. Like it's all positive.
Yeah,
man, I'm just excited to see Natalie Portman. Like that's I'm just so excited.
Oh yeah, we haven't heard much from her, right? Like she was one of the major like stars like that was announced, and we keep hearing about Guardians and Matt Damon, but no, like what's Natalie Portman? Like I can't wait to see her in the costume. Like when we see her costume, internet's gonna go crazy.
Yeah. And I can't wait for that poster.
I don't remember if like Kat Dennings was confirmed for Thor 4, because I know she's in WandaVision. I think that could be interesting if like she has a sword tie now. Maybe that could like have some sort of connection with Love and Thunder.
I guess it could, yeah, because of the space stuff.
Yeah.
We shall
I
see.
really want to know. I'm really curious as to what Fury's up to at the end of Spider-Man
Right,
3.
and there's that whole plot line. I'm like totally forgot about that direction. I'm like,
I'm sure that's just going to be like. I'm sure that's just for Secret Invasion on its own, since they're both in that. But yeah.
Man, so many threads that I just can't even imagine. Like the whiteboard in Kevin Feige's office. Like, okay, so this is gonna go here, here.
It's already like confusing because it's not just like, oh yeah, we're getting to like the end of the Infinity Saga. It's like, okay, well we still have ramifications from that, and we're building up new stuff. Eternals, here's a new box of curmudgeons to spread out. Yeah, I'll keep hearing like rumor of Thanos to appear in Eternals. I think that would be interesting. I don't think it's like a key player or anything, but
that's like a
younger, I think,
younger one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, yeah, he's dead now, so yeah.
Well, I know.
Carson rewatch challenge.
I saw it twice. Okay, what do you want from me?
Oh, but it's been so long now. Yeah. Do we have any more movie news you guys want to tackle, or like anything you guys are watching?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me as well. I watched One Night in Miami last night. Finally, I told the podcast that I would. I did. And yeah, it's fantastic. I think my favorites were Leslie Odom Jr. and the guy that plays Malcolm X. Were just incredible in this, and just there's just scenes between them, and I just think when you see it, you're just gonna know the scene that I'm talking about, of just an argument between them that was the scene stealer of all of these little things that happen in this movie. And man, yeah, it's the ending too, man. It just it breaks my heart, and it's just especially when given the historical context and everything these people stood for is just it's something that should be history that's still continuing, to this day for 60 years in the future, and it's just like. It's a really sobering movie that everybody needs to watch. Like and Regina King, man, her first directorial debut, like insanity. And also Kemp Powers, who co-directed Soul, who he had all these ideas for, if you liked all the barbershop stuff in Soul and all the stuff that really was like just super detailed and felt like authentic in Soul. His script here is so good. I said it in my review. Everybody should hire this guy. Like, he is so talented, and I can't wait to see what he does next, because he's a really, really good writer.
Nice.
It's an impeccable script. You're exactly right there. I think right now it's like the leading frontrunner for best adapted screenplay. I think, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be.
I forget what other movies are in the
adapted category.
There. I'm blanking right now.
But yeah, I think
Amazon.
I think
best adapted screenplay is going to be a very contentious. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I did. I think the guy who played Malcolm X is probably like one of the best acting I've seen all year. And if it wasn't for Chadwick Boseman being so good in Ma Rainey, like, I think he should be best, like, at least nominated. But I don't think he's even going to be nominated.
And you know what, Evan?
This year. It's crazy.
You know what? He's had barely any giant roles. His biggest roles so far have been very small supporting roles in King Arthur, in The Commuter, in Noelle, and in the Keith Stanfield drama from earlier this year, The Photograph. So this is his first like big leading role, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen those movies that I just listed. But wow, was I really impressed with him. So I think he's going to blow up after this.
Yeah, he was super, super great. And I think, like, right now, the best actor nominees are so stacked. You have Chadwick Boseman, which is like the front runner, Riz Ahmed, Anthony Hopkins, I forget who the other two. Stephen Yeun from Minari, and I'm missing somebody else, the fifth spot. But I don't think he's even going to get nominated. And Delroy Lindo from The Five Bloods. That's what it is.
Yes.
And that's our 5 right there. And I think he's number 6, which sucks. But the other ones are just so good. The only one I haven't seen yet is Anthony Hopkins in The Father. But I'm hearing great things there. So
phenomenal. Really, really, really. I actually mentioned The Father in my review of One Night in Miami because they're both movies that feel like stage plays, right? But they're very evolved by the filmmaking, and it just makes you forget that you're kind of watching like a one location kind of movie, and you're just dissolved into the conversations. And they're both movies that do that really well. So I can't wait for you to see The Father.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think. You have The Father, One Night in Miami, and Ma Rainey Black Bottom all plays, all like contending for Best Adapted Screenplay, and all could get Best Picture nominees as well. So 2020 was a year of play adaptations that were just adapted very well.
Agreed. Nathan, did you watch anything recently? I know you saw Wonder Woman again.
Yeah, the IMAX experience, that's fun. But I watched a couple things. Randomly I decided, my brain was like, kind of feel like being on a Leonardo DiCaprio kick. So hopped onto Netflix and I watched a classic that I really love, which is Catch Me If You Can, the wonderful Steven Spielberg film that I adore so much. And I forget every time I'll see the credits and I'm like, John Williams, every time. For this? All right. But it's so good. It's so good, dude. I always get like so enthralled every time I watch it. Just seeing the dynamic between Leo and Tom Hanks is just phenomenal. It's probably my favorite like Spielberg film that isn't like super overly referenced in pop culture, like with like your Indiana Jones and your Jurassic Parks and stuff. It's so great. I love it to death. It's just fun just seeing like how all these like different twists and turns come around with just all these impersonations and like randomly I was just like, wow, here we're in like this 30-minute chunk of movie and Amy Adams is here out of nowhere. Like, that's always fun.
I forgot she's in it.
I know, every time. It's so good. Like, I mean, there's like a lot of like cast. It's really great. And just to think that like all this happened like for real, like in real life. It's just so crazy.
The doctor scene. The doctor scene kills me.
It's so funny. Like, do you concur? Like, he just watch sitcoms. Dude's like the most minimal work, but it's like in an era that where like you could get away with it. He's like, Doctor, you concur? And he's like, concur with what?
Do you concur?
Yeah, his leg has a gash in it. And throws up. God, he's the doctor, lawyer, pilot, everything. So funny, dude. It's so great. But I've seen it before. I've watched it a few times, and I love it every time. But also, I watched another Leo film, watching for the first time. Finally got to see The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's a big one.
Oh,
yeah, which I had no idea was 3 hours.
But it makes it feel like 1.5. Marty goes off in that movie. It's insane.
Oh yeah, Scorsese did a great job. It's funny because there's so many points where I'm watching and I'm just like, feels like we're about to hit like the climax of the movie, and then I'll check and I'm like an hour and 12 in. I'm like, how the hell are we gonna go beyond this? And he just keeps going every point. It's so fascinating just to watch like the whole build. And like just from the opening, there's Matthew McConaughey. Just for the opening, he's gone after, but he's like makes an impact there. The whole cast is pretty great. Margot Robbie does really good. Leo, obviously being the main guy, is stealing the show. And just
don't forget Jonah. Jonah Hill is hilarious in that movie.
Oh, dude. He just keeps going. There's a lot of instances where it's like, this dude's so nice. I didn't know John Bernthal was in it.
Of course he's in it.
There's so many.
Catching his 15 minutes.
There's so many movies where I'm just like, John Bernthal's in this? Is that half his filmography where like you don't know he's gonna pop up? He's just there.
He is the king of 15 minutes and die and then leave.
Yeah. Yeah, no, literally they're like, oh, he got out of jail. All right. He died 2 years later. Like, what the hell? Just keeps going. But yeah, it's like really fun to watch. I mean, it's kind of mean-spirited, so that's not always my forte, but it's done in the Marty way. where I'm captivated, you know, doing that narration stuff, Goodfellas style, but we're on Wall Street, and it was fascinating just to watch like the rise and fall of this dude. And I had to like think back, like what was the ending, and then I was like, oh yeah, they like circle back. He's just kind of like at like a more minimal, less richy level of just like teaching
the pen,
people.
Man.
Yeah, the pen just call back, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I say not to really to root to this dude who becomes such an asshole.
Yeah.
Crazy for that. I will say, like, I think the most entertaining part was just like when I don't know if it was like Percocet or something, but like these like super old drugs that like finally kicked in at the worst point when
The
like
ludes.
the ludes. And like he's like just falls like to the ground of the country club, and he's like that whole like uncut take of him having to open his car door with his foot. Not only is it like it's not a normal car door either, it has to flip upward with the door design.
Nathan,
so he's like trying
Nathan, go back and watch that scene and watch the staircase for me, because when he actually falls down the staircase, they change the staircase to make it look like it's way longer than it actually is, and then they cut back to the wide shot, and it's like 4 stairs. I kind
of felt that, because I'm like, oh my god, that's an intense fall, and then I was like, that's not a lot of stairs.
Yeah, and it's hilarious when you finally notice it, because you're like, this dude is like so far into this trip that he just falls down 4 stairs, and it makes it look like it's 30, and it's so funny.
Dude, it's so entertaining too, because it's just like flowing through so much like at the wrong time. Like the FBI's tapped his phone, like bad business deals going. It's like, oh my god. And the fact that like he goes through so many different types of drugs to like shift to the different moods and like energies, and I'm just, oh my god. It's like
insane.
Like, oh yeah, how do we cure this instance of someone's gonna die? Take the cocaine. Take the emergency cocaine in the med kit. Like what the hell? It just keeps going. Like it's insane, dude. It probably is the most wild Martin Scorsese film I've experienced.
And then he made Silence right after that movie. I don't know how you make Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know how you make Wolf of Wall Street and then make Silence back to back. Two completely different movies, and both great in their own ways.
Yeah, I love Silence. Oh my god, yeah. What the hell? I think of like just like the insanity that was the ending of Wolf of Wall Street versus the somber ending of Silence. Like, what the hell? This was back to back.
I don't know. It's crazy. That guy has his work ethic.
I mean, well done. But yeah, I think that about covers what I've watched.
Right on time, as always. We never miss.
We never go above 2 hours unless we do, and then it's like
unless it's Harry Potter or The Last of Us. Those are 2 exceptions.
Oh, I'm sure when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out, I'm gonna go like an hour. When Spider-Man 3 finally comes out, buckle up. We're 5 hours. But yeah, it was a great time getting back. But with that being said, Carson, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me over on Twitter at The Film Carson. Yeah, just watching some more stuff this week. I have one more week of winter break, and then it's back to class, so that's very sad. But yeah, I'm going to try to watch as much as possible in that time. Reading some more High Republic stuff. I'm almost done with the Test of Courage. I can't wait to talk about that on our next episode of Hyperspace Hype. Just been chilling, watching this Godzilla trailer over and over again, trying to understand it, read all about it, learn the kaiju-ness like Nathan knows so much about. But yeah, maybe, just maybe I'll go rewatch King of the Monsters, and then I actually can be caught up.
We can do a watch party.
Yeah, just like we did the Bill and Ted trilogy. Me and Nathan are gonna do a Godzilla watch party leading up to Kong. I'm actually be down for that. But yeah, catch you guys next time. This is a great episode.
Evan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter, HarrisEV9. Watch Attack on Titan the final season because it is incredible. I might have to do a kaiju rewatch too because I haven't seen the 2014 Godzilla in a very long time, or the King Kong film since I saw it in theaters. So that would be fun to do. Oh, I also forgot. I did watch a new movie. I watched Lockdown yesterday. Short and sweet. It's not that good. It was pretty boring, but it was cool seeing Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor just be crazy for 2 hours. So that's pretty much it.
Nice. And with that being said, you can find me here on the channel reacting to WandaVision weekly, as well as a bunch of different stuff. The occasional plug, February 5th, we're closing in, and I still have to put stuff together for it. But, it's going to be fun. I got to send Carson that script so I can...
I wish I could change my LEDs to Time Blazer colors right now. So that would be like
red and
epic
black,
reveal.
all you need.
You know what? For the thing, I'm gonna get Time Blazer colors.
Perfect. But with that being said, if you did enjoy our podcast, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if not already. And that being said, hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.